folks, this has to be the best boardroom in Division 1 football. I'm here with Payneham Norwood Union new president, Marty Smith. First of all, welcome, Marty.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Mate, this is sensational. I noticed you just had a board meeting there a little bit earlier, and all the people around and all the players over here watching away. And, mate, back in Division 1, first and foremost, sensational work. Tell us about your loyal members that have stuck with you, your sponsors and so on. They've stuck through the hard times, gone to Division 2, come back up, they've stuck by. What does it mean as a club?
Oh, I think it's just it's where we need to be. We have been for a long time. Our spectators expect us to be in Division 1. Sometimes you've got to move backwards to move forward. So it was a bit of a learning curve. We're back up there now, and you know, we've got sponsors that have been loyal that are striving for us to stay in Division 1. So that's our goal.
First game, what do you think? It's going to be emotional. 5 minutes in, it'll just be another game of footy. How do you think that's going to go? And especially that first game back here, it'll be a huge day, won't it?
Yeah, I think it will be. We'll get a lot of the supporters back. We've been promised a new exciting game style, so I'm hoping that'll impact, get bums and seats, and a lot of the new sponsors plus the existing sponsors will be out here to make sure that we put our best foot forward.
Let's talk about the future. We can't see into the crystal ball, but speaking with Jeremy, it augurs so well here. New recruits, but the playing group, there's a lot of players in that sort of 18 to 22, 23 side of things. So it's not a one-year proposition. You don't just buy in some big-name recruits and that'll do. It's a top-up and develop, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, and that's the way we're treating as from the committee point of view. We're looking to, 3 to 5 years. We're building a committee and a process to ensure that we can provide the facilities in the football department to have be a successful football club over the next 3-5 years for sure. Yeah,
well, it wasn't so long back, and there's 4 teams that have won Division 1 premiership and gone down, and yourselves have come back up, of course, and there's a couple that haven't made it back up. I'll tell you what I love here, we were speaking about this, your women's, you've got 2 teams in Division 1. Tell us how many juniors you've actually got at the moment registered and what the target is there.
Yeah, so currently I think we're sitting at about 358, and this we're hoping to have this year, same as last year, about 380 to 390. I think once the cricket season finishes and the other sports stop, I think that that influx will come. So we're pretty confident to match the numbers from last year, if not improve on them.
And the big thing for the folks out there, if there's players, men or women or juniors looking around for a club, you want to go to a club that's got a great social aspect, very welcoming, and Payneham Norwood Union have always been that. You've got a great junior set up. You've got 3 men's teams, 2 women's teams, and also the Masters.
Yes.
So it's a great community, isn't it?
Yes, I'm actually coach of the Masters as well. So
yep.
if anybody's looking for a game, please come out and see us.
I also understand, Marty, there was a bit of a rumour about a footy trial. I won't go into that, but there was a gentleman here spreading a couple of rumours about you, but you actually were the driver of a bus in the footy trip. So you've done a lot of roles here, and I really respect, back to the serious side of what it takes to be the president and to lead a group of people. So that's your coaches. They need to, come to you about recruiting, or they might need a couple more coaches or some more footballs. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a president. Division 1 as well, you've got media responsibilities, you've got rules and regulations. The other big thing is you've got a large amount of sponsors, and every club is always looking for sponsors. But talk to us more so about the community down here at Payneham Norwood Union, and then we might mention a couple of those sponsors.
Yeah, well, I think we're blessed. We've got a really good... I've probably taken over from Tyson Burrows. He's probably taken the club to the level it has, and I've just come in to actually take it to the next step. But we've got a good support base, and a lot of the work's been done by the committee and David Haynes. He's made a lot of contact with the local community, and they're willing to put some money into the club to support the area. So it hasn't been hard work, because people want to associate themselves with a local based football club.
And a couple of the ones, as I said, we can't mention them all. I remember interviewing Macca there a year or two ago about the women's, and he looked up and I said, who are your sponsors? And he read out there was about 10 banners up that he had to go through. But we have got a couple of names. GPA Engineering, of course, very fortunate to have them on board.
Yeah, they've been a long, outstanding support of the club, and we're very appreciative. And once again, they've come on again. We've got Sweat. Yeah. They're a new company that's come on board, which they're a major sponsor. Tony and Mark's once again. To be perfectly honest, we have got that many coming on board that want to, just in small packages to the larger ones. So, but it all adds up, and it keeps the football department and the football club running. And we've got an electronic scoreboard that should be completed by the end of May, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yep.
So, everybody's in the community put in, and we're moving forward.
And that's the big thing, isn't it? If you're a local and you want to get involved with the Payneham Norwood Union Football Club and you want some brand awareness, there's nothing better than getting on. We can mention it on air here for you. We film your home games, the away games and so on. Sponsors get mentioned, and the great thing you've mentioned there, like several other clubs, is you've got a tiered setup. It doesn't have to be the top dollars at the top. It's everyone's treated equal, but if you've got something that you want to share with the Payneham Norwood Union Football Club, by all means come down, get in contact with Marty, and they'll welcome you with open arms. And it is a fantastic community. I know Saturday nights are going to be chockers up here, Sundays. What happens with the kitchen here? You open just a couple of nights for training, Friday nights open?
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, it's all volunteer based, so your resources are stretched, but the girls do a great job. So it'd be lovely to be able to have a full-time kitchen staff, but then it comes with other problems. You've got to pay staff, and so you're really tapping into your dollars, and it's hard to get those dollars into the club. So you've got to be realistic what you actually do.
My auntie and uncle, just on a by side of that, they actually ran the kitchen here for about 20 or 30 years, about 30 years ago. Ray Moore and Alan Moore were my auntie and uncle, and I think that the canteen at one point had their name above it and so on. So great, fantastic club down here. There's a lot of strength in this club. I can remember coming over from country Victoria, and Bob Loveday was the coach, and it was the old Safa days back then, and the club had a magnificent following. I thought, wow, how good's this? I'm going to shift over here, and so on. So Payneham Norwood Union back in Division 1. It's a credit to yourself, Marty, and the team around you. We look forward to a great year ahead. Of course, mate, we've got the magnificent Archie thongs. We're going to give you a pair of green ones. They're the grassroots ones are coming out. They've arrived in Adelaide, so we'll be out with those as well. And we look forward to watching all the games this year. We'll be live streamed, so seeing how Payneham Norwood Union goes for the season ahead. Thank you so much for joining.
No, appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, folks, Payneham Norwood Union, they're back in Division 1. I'm joined by Jeremy Cini, the coach of the O-Grade. First of all, welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Tony. Great for you to be out at Falcon Park, mate.
Yeah, absolutely sensational. I'll tell you what, the birds are tweeting, the air is absolutely fresh and crisp out here, and the players walking past us. Mate, 2022, I saw your last game down there, 4 wins for the season. You go down, we think, oh, where's Payneham Norwood Union headed? They're back in Division 2. I absolutely love a coach that can build and develop a team. You get through, you have a successful year, you make the grand final. What changed? What did you implement at the start of last year to get them up and going? And you're back in Division 1. Yeah,
look, last year was a great year for the footy club, the result to get straight back up to Div 1. But at the end of 2022, look, we were really honest about where we were at, and we'd lost quite a few players in that first season when I came across. And obviously for me, coming in, new game plan, trying to learn my style, etc. It all sort of mounted, and unfortunately, with the loss of the sort of 20 odd senior blokes, we really struggled in 2022. To the credit of the boys, though, with what the group we got together last year, were really solid, really good performers. And the best thing was that we brought some really good human beings back into the footy club, and guys that have been away from the club and come back and we're here for the right reasons. And I think that goes a long way at amateur football. If you've got guys here for the right reasons and you're pushing all in the same way, some really special things can happen.
And it might have been a bit to do with the coaches as well there, mate. But
maybe,
don't be afraid
maybe.
to rant. So 13-5, which was a very good outcome after that year before, because you're working on the mental side as well. You're trying to work on positives, picking people up. Let's have a look. You scored 200 points more last year, but over 400 points less. So that was 400 points against less. So was there a lot of work done? Are you sort of backline centric by yourself and the coaches? Tell us about this side of it.
No, look, defence is a massive part of the game. And at the end of the day, for us, we had to improve in that area. I made a big focus around it's a whole ground defence, so it wasn't just around the back six or back seven. If we don't have forwards who defend and are willing to empty out and do the right thing there, down the ground it all just flows on. So big emphasis around forwards, making sure they defend. Mids had to defend the ground as well, and then obviously the backs do their thing as well. We got that part of the game right, and I think obviously with the result of 400 points less, it's proof was in the pudding. On the back of that, we were able to turn that into offence, and to have 3 genuine tall forward targets last year. Liam Davis, who's retired, but we had Liam, Tom Wagner and Harry Viney up there, and then you had the smalls who get around them when the ball hit the ground. It made for pretty predictable forward entries, which I think when you've got that style of game, scoring on the back of it comes.
And belief goes a long way. And let's talk about some of those players. So Harrison Viney, 34 goals. Tell us about, if you can, where does he play and what an asset he was?
Yeah, look, Harry's played deep the last couple of years. He'll probably see himself in a bit of a different role this year, where he can get a bit up the ground. But Harry's been our leading goal kicker the last 2 years, so he's been really solid for us. And he's a hard man to contain when he's on fire, let me tell you.
Fantastic, and I hope the clubs out there are going to do their homework. So Tom Wagner, 21 games in the best players, 15 of those 21, and he won your best and fairest, I believe.
He did, yeah.
So tell us about Tom and where he plays.
Oh, look, really fortunate that Tom came back to the footy club last year. He'd spent a few years at Norwood and played league footy, but we were fortunate in being a Payneham junior. He came back and, look, he is an outstanding footballer, even better human being, and a great fella to have around the club. Bleeds Payneham Footy Club, and he really enjoys the environment we've got going on here. But on the back of it, he performs week in, week out. As you can tell, the best 15 times out of the 21 games.
Jed Spence, this is an interesting one. He only got the 15 games, I say only, due to whatever reasons. But out of those 15, 9 in the best players. So tell us about Jed and what position he may be playing.
Look, Jed last year, again, we were really fortunate just at the start of the year before round one that Jed came across. He played all the trials for Norwood and the senior team there, and then decided that his time at league level was up. So we were fortunate. He came across and, super solid player. It was just disappointing. Oh, well, not disappointing. It's the lay of the land these days that players go and travel during the course of the year, and we had a little venture overseas, and he probably would have polled a lot more if he'd played extra games. But when we had him, he was outstanding.
Just on a side note to that, Jeremy, for the viewers out there, I do remember organising an interview with you. You were about to go to Greece the day after, and it was the week of the grand final. So have you got any plans this year for holidays, and have you booked them in finals time? Surely not.
No plans. No, look, I blame Gather Round for my my predicament last year, and I was due to actually fly out on the Thursday before the grand final. So my wife and the group left, I stayed around and flew out the Sunday morning licking my wounds after a grand final loss.
All right, let's talk about Blake Dodson, folks. 19 games, 8 times in the best players. So you've really got 3 or 4 players there, quite consistent. Blake, where does he play? Tell us a bit about him.
Blake's a genuine utility. He can play anywhere around the ground. First year he came to us, he played on the wing. Last year he played as a key back. This year we've got a different role for him. So he's 6'2", mobile, hard as nails, just a really skillful individual. Fortunate to have got Blake, and a ripping bloke around the club too.
All right, as the players are starting to roll in behind us.
Hi, Jacob.
The recruits. Let's talk about your recruits. I know there's one big name that we're going to interview a bit later on. How's recruiting gone over summer? Every team loses a few, gains a few. You're playing Division 1 again, and you want to be competitive in Division 1. Who's come in?
Yeah, look, the mission was that after the year, it was great and fantastic to finish where we did and come back to Div 1, but we're a really proud footy club, and we obviously want to stay in Division 1, and we're moving forward to set things in stone where that's where we want to be. So getting a bloke of quality of Matt Nunn is absolutely huge, one for our culture, and he brings expertise from his days at Norwood, and obviously a premiership captain at SANFL level. Really great bloke to have around the footy club, and just a superstar on the field. So super lucky to have got him. We've picked up another fella, Nick Kelly, who's come across from Anglevale, who'll fill the void of our ruck.
Tall fella,
he is, and
him.
quite mobile. So he'll be quite handy for us in the ruck, and nice at our middies and can actually have someone who can jump and get
First
it to him.
use.
Yeah, first use will be that'll be very nice, Tony. And then we've picked up late a fella called Mitchell Steer, who's come across. He was at Smosh West Lakes, played a bit of time at the Eagles as well. 6'5" sort of defender, plays a key back. So. Look, we were lucky to get the tools that we got, and obviously with the quality of the people they are, it's even better. They're fitted in beautifully.
So this then moves into, which we're discussing off here, because we talk about the future. Tell us about your squad. And I look at this, folks, in three ways. You're 18 to 22, maybe the guys that have played around 50 games. You're 23 to 28, you're 29 plus. So let's go back with 29 plus. How many players would you have?
Not many.
Around there?
Not many. We are a really young squad. We'd have probably three, maybe four at 29 plus. And I think Brad McKenzie would be the oldest. He'd hate me saying that at the age of 30. And Johnny Giannini would be 30 as well. So and then we filter down, and then it becomes quite young after that.
Yeah. So you're 23 to 28, which are your mid-career. Matt Nunn, 26 years
26,
old. You're getting him in his peak.
100%, and that's the beauty of what's happened there, and the fact that we've got Matty for quite a while, provided his body holds up.
Yeah, and then you're 18 to 22, and that's the exciting thing for a coach, because people ask, is it development, is it winning? It's a bit of both. Develop a winning
Has to be. I think. Look, coaches I'm in the game to develop players, to see then where they go and what happens. And I think if you're there, if you're lucky enough to get groups where they're just out and out talented, so happens very few times. But I think my philosophy is around developing players and seeing them progress and then get to a level. And some of those 18 to 22-year-olds haven't played Div 1 football, but they played really good Division 2 footy.
Yep.
That's the challenge for them now, and I know that these guys will answer the call.
Let's talk about culture. You spoke about that. So you get back into the positive last year. There's a good feeling around the club. So the culture builds. Do you build, has there been a theme for the pre-season? Do you build a theme for the season? What's going on between the years here, Jeremy? Yeah,
look, not really big on themes as such, but certainly we had a values day at the end of last year, or the beginning of this year it was actually, and they came up with a sort of a motto of around friendships and premierships.
Wow.
So for me, that's quite powerful in the fact that, guys give up a lot to play amateur football, and they could do lots of other things rather than be out here. A lot of them don't get remunerated for their time.
Yep.
They're doing it because they love the game of footy. Now, we have to create an environment that becomes enjoyable, that they want to come to. If it's friendships, fantastic. On the back of that, I think you can build some really good teams and, as a result, get premierships.
No, fantastic. Well answered, because it's the platform that you build everything else on off the field. You look at them now all getting around chatting with each other, and then all of a sudden they're out there training, and a byproduct of that is we might win some games, and then who knows from there.
Exactly.
The last one, the expectations. You spoke about the day where you all got together. I guess there's expectations from the coaching group, and do they match the expectations from the playing group? We might worry about the committee. Obviously they've got expectations, but what are the expectations, without getting too far ahead of ourselves, from the coaching and the playing group?
Look, the one thing, I'm really big on being transparent across the playing group. So any expectations we have as coaching staff certainly flow through to the playing group. So for us, our expectation is we're competing to win this thing. So it's not just a case we come in to make numbers up. Like, I think you've got to be in it to win it. And for us, you don't do all this extra work, and you don't do the training and all the preparation to just make up numbers. So we're here to win it.
All right, Jeremy, there is our magnificent Archie's thongs, and folks, keep an eye out. We're going to come back with the green grassroots ones.
Can't wait
I know
you love the Archies. I do like the Archies. I'm a big supporter of the Archies.
So, listen, Jeremy, thank you. You're a great friend of all of us here in the Adelaide Footy League. Great to see Payneham Norwood Union get back into Division 1, because we see clubs go down and they stay down, or they fight so hard to get back up. it all augurs for a magnificent year. Remember, folks, we're live streaming and commentating every game this year. So, Jeremy, you're back on every week here, and we can't wait to see what's ahead for you guys for the future for this season. Wishing you all the best.
I really appreciate it, Tony. Looking forward to the season ahead. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Exciting times. We are joined by Matt Nye, the captain of Payneham Norwood Union. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, we've taken you out of the drill here, and I think you'd rather be over there in the drill than over here with myself. But let's take you through it. How long have you been captain of the club?
This will be my second year captaining the club, taking over the reins from John Giannini, who's done a fantastic job in the past. And really looking forward to the year, and enjoy being a part of such a good leadership group at Payneham.
Mate, 13-5, so you're a successful captain at the moment. How often do you meet as leaders? And then secondly, he's not looking, how often does the coach join in on the meetings?
Yeah, we always catch up without him. That's usually the go-to. Usually it's at the pub and there's not much footy talk, to be honest. It's just catching up, talking about any other sport over the weekend. But yeah, we have lots of chats throughout the year, and Cheens is involved with plenty of them at the club as well. And we have really good connection and strong leaders. So it always works in together, and everyone's on the same page.
You've touched on something there, Matt, and that's something I think a lot of clubs can learn from. It can be a fun social time and just a general chit-chat, because that helps with your melding on the ground during the season as well. It doesn't have to be deadly serious every meeting you have. I think that is a great initiative. Mate, what position do you play?
So usually play on ball and then a bit up forward. Not too sure what the role will look like this year with a few studs coming in, but I'm happy to play anywhere.
Up forward and mid. So what happens when the ball goes down in the back line? You're the captain, you just yell out the blokes, or do you get down and help?
No, I'm usually the one yelling out, get back, or everyone's yelling at me to get back. I'll usually just cop it on the field, and I'll just go wherever they want me to.
And communication on field, we know you've got Matt Nunn, John Giannini, as you said. You've got some good, level-headed, mature guys in around the place this year. Not a lot. There's going to be a lot of young blokes, so it's important that you have leaders on every level. Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, we got such a strong leadership group at the moment, and with the likes of, say, Brad McKenzie and Matthew Nunn, they've played at that top tier level, and the boys just love soaking up anything they want to say. So the more they want to speak up, the easier it makes my life.
Tell us about pre-season. How's the pre-season been in regards to sharing that leadership and the many voices, and has it all been, I'll talk about encouragement. You're in a hard drill like the one behind us at the moment, pushing each other, positive reinforcement.
Yeah, the boys are super driven. We've really attacked pre-season this year, and like I said, there's a really experienced group, but there's also a really young group that are super hungry and really looking for some success. So can't wait for them boys just to keep pushing us along. It's the kick you need up the backside sometimes when you just want to mosey around.
Well, it's in this case, it's a men's game, or in the women's, it's a women's game. But we've got to understand we're growing adults, and sometimes the hard chat does need to be said. Now, folks, we're going to delve in. I love this bit. I'm fascinated. You go in for the coin toss.
Yep.
We come back. Here we are. We're in the huddle. We're all standing around. We're heaving. We're sweating. We've said all this stuff in the change rooms. What gets said in that huddle? Is it you? Is it just a rant? Is it whatever comes into your head? Is it someone else, or is it controlled? Give us an insight.
I try to be super controlled. I think I'm usually in the car, I'm talking to myself, trying to pre-game. But then it goes out the window. As soon as I hit the huddle, it goes out the window, and I just say whatever comes to my mind.
Yeah, well, you got 20 pairs of eyes looking back at you, and we're about to have the ball up, and it's a vigorous game, and you got to think your way through it. And I often remember we had a great coach in the country. Do you actually remember what was said 5 minutes later? It's that bit of a G up at the time. I know some clubs, have you gone with the joke? I've noticed some AFL teams have gone with a joke in the huddle. I don't know about that.
I've got absolutely no material, so no jokes from me.
All right, Matt. On a serious note, mate, an outstanding young man. I've been watching you here at training tonight, getting around, helping everyone. Tell us about your legacy. What would you like the players to say about you, maybe 5 to 10 years' time at reunions?
Yeah, it's a great question. Probably the main thing would be that I just built really strong connections with the entire playing group, going through the A's to the C grade. That's probably the main thing I focus, building connections with as many people as I can while I'm captain, and trying to get the most out of people would be great as well.
All right, well, Division 1 this year, mate. We wish you all the best as the ball sails over the head. This is the magnificent Archie's thongs, mate. So you get a pair of them. We're going to come out with the green grassroots ones, so you'll be seeing us out and around with the Archies, mate. We can't thank you enough for joining us and wish Payneham Norwood Union all the best in Division 1 this year. Have a great season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's all happening down here at Payneham Norwood Union, folks, and I'm with the big recruit for the Adelaide Footy League down here at Payneham, and it's Matt Nunn. First of all, Matt, welcome.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
And, mate, absolutely sensational. Followed your career, I know as a junior, very good player, went through, played SANFL. You've been a captain of a SANFL team, but now you're in the Adelaide Football League. Mate, 26 years old. Why now the shift back to Adelaide Football League?
Yeah, I reckon the cumulative of things. Like, I was just ready to go. I got to a point where my body was starting to not fail, but I was just getting tired, and mentally I was just a bit shot. And I've always wanted to come back and play, grassroots with a couple of my mates like Brad McKenzie and guys like that, Anthony Giannini. So it's good to be back, and it wasn't anything bad making me call it, but I was just ready to go. So it's exciting, very exciting.
All right, let's talk about that, because there's a really young squad out here. We've spoken with the coach, mate, leading and a mentor here. How are you finding that? Are you starting to settle in and helping a few of the young blokes around the ground?
Yeah, got a few boys in the background. Sorry, mate.
I know, mate.
It's been good. It's been good. I've got obviously some leadership capabilities under my belt that I'm more than happy to help out on the training track, and especially outside of it as well. That's where I can really step up, and I've sort of moulded it a little bit at the start, just let it happen, and then as it started to get a bit onto the trainings, I've just let my natural capabilities just step up, and it's just natural for me to do that sort of stuff, and it's just good having the younger fellas sort of look up to you in that regard, so I'm always happy to help with that stuff as well.
Well, you're going to have that, we talk about, you got Mitch Grigg out at Athelston and yourself here and all those other players you mentioned, but, game day, they're going to rely on that voice. If things get under the pump a bit, players get a little bit intrinsic and go within themselves, and if you're doing it now at training, then they're used to that on Saturday. And talking about that group, they're all having a look and saying what's going on with Nunny and so on. Mate, do you know all the names yet?
No.
You're supposed to say yes.
I'm getting there. There's always a few. What I'm learning at the amateur level, as I've never been here before, is there's a few blokes that rock up about this time of year, so and they're not really in the best of shape, so I don't know those guys' names yet, but I'm getting there because they've only been here for one night.
So that bloke walking in the door, do you know him?
Yeah, that's Sparky. I know Sparky.
Because he's got his name on his back, that's why.
Yeah, probably.
No, fantastic.
Getting there.
Let's talk about the pre-season out here. Obviously, at the higher level, mate, you're training 5-6 days a week. There's weights, nutrition, psychologists, there's, the positivity stuff, there's looking after your running, looking after skills, different sessions. You come down here, it's maybe 2 nights a week and a bit on the weekend. Yeah. I know they've had a bit of a talk as a group, which has been great. What do you see the strengths of this team coming in externally to what happened last year? Is it skills? Is it ball movement? What have you seen as some of the highlights?
I think the transition for that training stuff's been actually really good for me, just taking a bit of a load off and then also seeing what these guys do at this level, and I guess with your only 2 nights here, you generally have a bit of a crack, which is good, because I didn't want to take a step back in standards. I wanted to take a step back in the relaxation of the footy and just taking a bit more of a load off. So but the standards are still really high, and I think the one thing at training is everyone's really keen on getting better still, which is good, because that's a big thing for me. As much as I'm still pretty young, and there's some guys who are a bit older than me and they still want to get better and whatnot, so that's been a really positive thing to see, that everyone's still trying to get better in skills and structures and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I think you'll find Division 1, you'll play against a lot of players you have played against in the past, and it certainly won't be a walk in the park. I'm interested in this one. I remember in the country years ago, and started coaching, and my mate said, you've got to get them all out on the terps and they'll all blend and meld and all that. Tell us about acceptance by the group. Has there been, you have to do something to be accepted by the group, and we're talking about the gridiron player getting his teeth knocked out in a game and he got accepted. Anything brutal, or have you gone out and done something and they've said, yeah, he's one of us? Has anything happened yet, or you've been initiated?
It's probably more just socially on the piss, I reckon. As most footy clubs should be, good off the field, as good as they are on the field. So, they're pretty good here.
Well, you haven't put any condition on, mate. You haven't gone.
I'm feeling good.
You haven't gone out into the pasture just yet. As we said, you've probably got a good career ahead of you still at Adelaide Footy League level, mate. Adelaide Footy League fans will be watching closely. You're certainly going to be one of the recruits of the season out here. What position will you be playing?
Yeah, I think majority midfield as I used to. So we've got a really strong midfield here actually, which is great. Like Jed Spence, Gia, Matty Nye. So yeah, a lot of good players. So I've got some good rotation in there with some players. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
So let's talk about that, because at the higher level you might do a 4-minute, you might do a 6-minute burst, whatever. Local level it might be 6, might be 7. I'm not a real big fan of going by time. It's whether you see a player spent or not as a coach.
Yeah.
What happens when a runner comes out and say, Matty, you've got to have a breather? Do you think you'll go down forward and just load up down forward, or do you think you'll actually rotate off the ground?
Oh, I reckon that back in the day at the legs, I probably would have had to come off, but I reckon I'll be telling the runner to go back. I'll be going forward.
Yeah, you've had a bit of a yap to Jezzo.
I got a bit of pull here, so
no, fantastic.
No, I'll tell you the piss there.
No, good mate. You are a fantastic guy. We know met you before off field, and you're a fantastic guy. What an acquisition to the club, mate, and I think you're going to fit in fantastically out here. We can't wish you enough of all the best for a great season. We have got. This is something new for this player, the Archie's thongs, and you'll sleep in them, mate. Fair income.
Thanks,
We've
Tony.
got the green grassroots ones as well coming out, but they're the Archie's thongs, mate. You'll probably end up getting a few best on grounds, and if you do, you'll get more thongs than the beanie as well. But Matt Nunn, thank you so much for spending this time with us at the start of the season. Wish you all the best for the season ahead.
No worries. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for the thongs.
Thank you.